Welcome back to the Spring Showcase. It's Michael Washington and Daniel Villalpando as we discuss the action from this past weekend. LFA, big weekend here. We start the back half of the weekend, start seeing some positionings for playoffs possibly in this situation. Some teams that may not be looking as good as we thought they might be, Some
Yeah,
tough matchups this weekend. First and foremost, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us. And how are you, my man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's always a pleasure to be on the show with you. Yeah, it's we had a really good week, really good, exciting week, and it does kind of suck that we're on the tail end of the season, but I mean, it's gonna start getting to the nitty gritty, so I'm excited.
Yeah, and we're getting to that point now, right? Like we're getting to that point of some nitty gritty stuff. We're starting to see some teams. We talked about the separation probably coming from this point. We saw a lot of this stuff. So it's getting exciting. That is for sure as we head down, down the stretch here. Um, Man, what a week for games. We were all over the place for this, weren't we? This week.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely were on that one.
All right, let's first start talking about let's talk about Juwan Manigo or Manigo, right? It's
Manigo,
Manigo.
yes, sir.
Yeah, he's back. He's not re-signed with the Caudillos after being released up there up north. He was with the CFL in the preseason and unfortunately did not make the roster cut there. So the Caudillos brought him back. He was with the team last year. Um, I know there was some weather things and some field issue things with the game against the Galos Negros, and we'll get into that in a minute. But we talked about the Jeremy Johnson switch off and how we felt like it might be a panic. Is this another continuation of that panic, possibly that they felt like they needed to bring somebody back to kind of hopefully separate themselves in this case, or is this just I mean, it's a smart move. Like let's talk about what it is. It's not a smart. It's not that it's a dumb move by any means, but do you think that maybe they felt like this was something they needed to address, basically?
Yeah, I mean, as far as needed, I didn't think that they needed to address it much. I think that that's what they're kind of showing their pattern right now, which is if there's a close game, if there's any hint of a possible loss, that there's gonna be possible moments of replacements, or if they can't get it done, we got to go bring someone that will, things of that nature. Obviously, it's a great signing for them. It's gonna bolster their entire team because he's a former player, so it's gonna always be a good thing. But it's kind of interesting to see how they're going around with this. Anytime there's a close game or a loss that they suffered the week before, how their bounce back really is. And right now, it's like, well, we got to go get another player. We got to go figure this out. We got to go do this. It's not really a coaching aspect. I mean, the score was what the score was. I guess that's their way of patching the holes in the dam right now.
Yeah, and again, it's not one of those things where we feel like it's a terrible move by any means. It's smart. It makes sense as far as the overall development for this team. I mean, we're talking about a team that won two straight seasons undefeated,
Exactly.
two straight championships. They suffered their first loss last week. Um, it literally just may be the fact that between this coaching staff and some of these players, they just don't know how to lose. And not knowing how to lose is one of the most dangerous things, because once you do lose, you saw what happened this week with the Galas Negros that we'll talk about right now, where you are in a game that technically you should have lost.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If the Gallos Negros knew how to kick a field goal, it reminds me of the Nordic Storm in the in the ELF. Like if they knew how to kick a field goal, um, the Caudillos, lose this game. Instead, we get a dramatic finish, 4th down and 2, or 4th down and goal, whatever you want to say, and the receiver in his hands drops it in the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
Um, so the Caudillos dodged a bullet because that pass was there. Great pass by Xavier Bullock, by the way. Um, Daniel had to. Did you ever get the pleasure of getting that interview out there yet, or
Yeah,
no? Have you not
we're scheduled for this week.
scheduled? Okay, all right.
He had a few things, but
Yeah, of
I
course,
told
yeah.
him, hey man, you're in the season. I get it. I'm trying to get these guys going, man. I'm trying to get them going. I know some of them are going to be a little more lenient with interviews, seeing how their season goes, but some of these guys are dialed in and focused in. So hopefully, man, I'm gonna bust my butt to get them.
Yeah, for sure. And and honestly, that's the great thing about this is like we'll have it for you at some point in time. We'll make sure we get it on air and whatnot. And Daniel's going to take care of that on that end. But great throw by Xavier, by the way, great play. Just unfortunate his receiver didn't complete this. So now we're looking at this from a standpoint of that pretty much I think will probably solidify the Gallos Negros as one of the teams that will probably miss the playoffs. They got one win. I just don't see a realm of possibility. They do have some games that are going to come up, but they got the Dinos coming up, and then the Reyes is probably a game that's winnable, and then the Raptors. I mean, we'll get to them in a little bit. Um, but man, I got to tell you, dude, that this game was probably the most exciting game in the LFA this week, even though this year, or second, probably the second most, beside that Raptors and Dinos game last week. Um, Even though it was low scoring, it felt like they were moving the ball up and down the field, and it felt like that both teams were kind of locked in. It was just not completing drives. Though Jeremy Johnson, I know he
Yeah.
just off the couch, but man, a little bit of a struggle there for him.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of and which is crazy because he's obviously kind of a little bit older, but that game where Anthony Richardson was like just exhausted and
Yeah,
and that's what it looked like. It looked like he didn't have his legs under him. We both know we've played the game. We know that there's in shape and then there's football shape. So we
oh
know
yeah.
there's a difference. So yeah, it was definitely a noticeable thing. And I mean, this game was awesome, man. And you kind of had you on the edge of your seat. And great job by the guys negatives. But you've said it all year, and I've reiterated it. Kicking is I can't imagine where they'd be right now, upsetting the Caballeros and I get it, imports are important, man, but who knows? If you import a kicker, you win that game. Like if he's automatic, you win that game. And the Caballeros, I don't know if we see them in the tailspin, but 2 losses in a row would have been crazy to see.
I mean, 2 losses in a row, and then looking forward, they had the rematch with the Archangels next week too. So,
Yeah,
they can't really feel good about themselves going into that game. They lose to the Archangels, then they turn around and only beat Gallos Negros by a point, which they technically should have lost that game. So, I mean, they really can't feel confident heading into that game next week. And that game is huge. We'll get to that in a minute, though, as well, as we start talking about the standings and the playoff pictures. And moving forward, we won't spend a ton of time on this game. This game was definitely not I honestly don't know what happened to the Raptors, but this is a season they probably want to wipe clean and forget about and start over again. They got thrashed in this game, 38-3. I thought that maybe we'd start seeing a slight turnaround after that Dinos game, that maybe they could salvage 3 or 4 wins and try to maybe get a 4-4 record. That doesn't look good now.
yeah.
What are your thoughts with this one? Is there anything here? The Mexicas look for real, and the Raptors just kind of look like they got a lot of issues going on that they need to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, the Mexicas did a good job of just, and obviously Mike Patiño, who was their quarterback for a while, he left the team. They've kind of moved on from him, so that was a big thing. And then you see how they didn't skip a beat, man. I mean, and whatever they're doing over there, they're showing consistency of being at the top. Last year they were kind of right there, right? It was either them or the Monterrey team, obviously the Caballeros. But Tim Whitfield's getting going, and at the end, it was just a buzzsaw going through wood, man, and it was bad, and it was just that's the type of game that you want from the Mexicas. Seeing how the Raptors played, we obviously, as a fan of the league, want to see the Raptors kind of pick it up and make it more competitive. But it's I don't know what needs to happen or what has happened over there, other than it just doesn't look like there's much help. There's no explosiveness. The offense is kind of weary. The defense, they try to hold on as much as they could, but a 38-3 loss is ugly. It's always ugly for a program.
Yeah, Quezada. Am I saying that or Quezada?
Quesada, yeah.
Quezada. Has he been there for 2 games or one? One, right?
One
He
game,
just started one
yeah.
game.
He was rotating the previous game, and
The
then he
previous game
started.
he rotated in.
Yeah.
I mean, you take a look at his stats on the year so far. He's 22 with 36, 258 with 61%. He has 2 interceptions, unfortunately, on the year, but a 3-to-2 ratio as far as touchdown to interceptions, not the greatest, but everything else looks pretty good across the board. He passed the eye test this week, so
Absolutely.
like you said, the Megas, maybe turn around and they're not so, in a situation where this team could be the version of the Raptors were last year, right? Like
Yeah.
they're definitely in position to set themselves up as a top 3 seed, which the Raptors didn't really do. I think the Raptors were a 4 seed, but either way, like they're setting themselves up nicely for this, and I think it's going to be a nice stretch, down here the next 3 games because they got the Osos next week. So I think that will be a very interesting game in playoff positioning as well. And they're at home for that game, so that's a good one as well. As far as the Raptors, man, like you said, like as us fans of the league, we want to see Reyes, we want to see the Raptors, we want to see them, we want to see the Gallas Negros. Like we want to see every team to be in a competitive nature. Now we don't understand this is football. That's not how that happens. Some teams are always at the bottom. We see it every year in the NFL. We see it every year in every league. There's always a team at the bottom. It really is just mind-boggling because I look at the Raptors roster and I see a lot of names. I see a lot of players that returned. For some reason, Johan Guerrero and Jacoby Redick are not on the same page.
Yeah.
I do not know what's happening there. There is something happening. And also, I want to say something about the Mexicas as well. Is I believe Tim Whitfield is banged up.
Yeah.
I believe he's pretty. Well. Yeah, I think he's pretty banged up right now. Not sure if not sure what the extent is. Hopefully, it's nothing major, and he's back on the field next week. But it happens, and when you only have 8 games, every game is important, enhanced, as far as that's concerned as well. In that sense, Daniel Sam wants to know whose jersey you're wearing. There is that Kelsey.
That's Kelsey, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be Kelsey. Come on, man. He plays center. He knows what's up. Come on.
Yeah. I have a Jason Peters one and a Lane Johnson one. So
let me ask you a question as me being a former center too, and just an interesting question. Without alienating other positions on the field, what's the most important position on the offensive line, in your opinion?
The center, yeah, to me.
The center? Yeah. You think it's the center? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
If he's calling the protection, so,
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's blindside tackle.
Yeah.
I played center. I think center is the most important position in terms of communication because they're the only position that needs to know what everybody else is doing at all times.
Yeah,
that's the only position. I played all 3 positions, but I'm a center at heart. Like that's my shit. So I think it's the smartest position though on the offensive line, and I think it's the most difficult overall to play.
Yeah,
but I think the blind side is just because of what the blind side can do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, so
I think the higher level of football, I think the higher you go, the more important that blindside tackle is. In my opinion, yeah, I do agree with that. Yes, I was just being biased, And
hey, from a biased standpoint, there's not a smarter position on the field than center.
You already know.
Biased standpoint, there's not because we literally need it. We're probably the only team. We're probably the only guy on the field that needs to know what our offensive line doing and what the backfield is doing.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean, like that. We got to know what's happening there as well. As well. Hey, little bilingual message from us here, Oscar. Thank you for tuning in, my man. Appreciate you.
I was gonna pull the shady special and wear a beanie with it, but it's like 98 degrees and down here in South Texas. So.
Oh yeah, hey fam, I actually probably could have worn my Shady Sports shirt that I got going on here. I guess I probably could have done that, but
Yeah,
I gotta get myself a hoodie and a beanie too for the winter time.
yeah,
It gets cold up here, man. I tell you what. And it's not like we have a boss that sends us free merch or anything, you know.
exactly. You
Yeah,
know,
thanks.
link it
It's
in
like
the link it down
fucking
below.
Sam slagging over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, come on, Sam, take care of this.
Just kidding.
Chris demands hoodies all the time. Come on.
Yeah, just kidding, Sam. You know we love you. Um, the next game, Archangels and Reyes. Reyes actually looked better this week. I
Yes.
gotta say they looked better. I mean, they still only scored 16, but they kept this game fairly competitive, at least in the first half, from a competitive standpoint, and maybe not from a score standpoint. But it's only a 10-point loss. They scored late, I think, to kind of make that a little bit, closer on the scoreboard. But I think overall they were a lot more competitive. Shannon Patrick looked like he was finally getting more acclimated back into the LFA style of play. It's so nice to see him back out there, by the way. Can I just say that? I mean, I
Yeah.
know the team's not doing the greatest, but it's awesome seeing him out there, right?
Yeah, it's always good seeing a former LFA player come back and I mean, especially quarterbacks. Quarterback play is so crucial. So that's always good seeing that happen.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that the other thing is um, I think Reyes needed. It's so hard because like this team is what 2 years, 3 years removed from winning it. 3 years
Yeah,
removed from winning it.
3 years. Yeah,
And they've had what two really rough years, right? Basically,
tough, tough
last
year.
year was
Yeah,
brutal
last
for
year was.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I feel like that any kind of positive forward momentum for Reyes here is key. You know what I mean? Like I think it's good for them. So it's nice to see at least a little bit. We'll see what happens because we thought maybe the same thing with the Raptors, and look what happened. So Reyes has got Raptors next week. That game doesn't have any playoff implications. So maybe if Reyes can come out and maybe surprise a little people here, we'll see what happens. But Archangels though, man. Nice jerseys. I said it last week too, but
yeah.
those jerseys, man, even their away jerseys are on point, man.
They're doing it right over there, man. They're doing it right.
Like I don't know who the ownership group is. I don't know if there's any like former players or anything on there or any connections, but man, they've done a real good job with the branding, and really putting forward a professional looking team, right? Like I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so kudos to the Archangels on that. I like this team though, man. Like I know that we talked about how they've been a little bit one dimensional, and they're opening up the playbook a little bit more now. But it, I guess when you have Denzel Strong and Joshua Mack, you can be one dimensional, right?
Yeah, and that was I know that was their biggest thing that we kind of wanted to see them open, but I mean they're doing it in the proper way, right? I mean they're winning games, and with with the Reyes team, I think it's the defense is definitely catching up. It's just obviously the offense is a lot harder to get going, and the Archangels did a great job of being able to take advantage of that, man. I mean it was a good game for them. It was a tough, gritty game. Obviously every team wants you want to win in a blowout every single time, but those games mean a lot. And with those two guys in the backfield, you got that's who you're going to feed. You're going to take care of them, and that's kind of going to be the old school Alabama run. Just have a quarterback that's a game manager. I mean, they win championships, and they're building something over there. And I know you've mentioned it a couple weeks in a row. I think it's going to be your new squad, man. I think you like them. I'm just
I mean,
saying, like,
I mean,
those uniforms are nice.
hey, well, I mean, and I like the team too. I mean, I'm not ready to jump off the Galos Negros, fandom yet, but I'm
Yeah,
not tied to that to them. Like the way I look at it from a standpoint is, these leagues aren't established yet. There's going to be teams coming and going all over the place. So until they get
yeah,
established in their stability with them, like I can jump if I want to. It's okay.
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
okay with that. Out of the 5 quarterbacks that have started every game, because there is 5 out of the 8, which is actually kind of impressive. Uh, you know, uh, I don't know if it's Garcia or Rosado, because like you said, down there in Mexico, they all have like 87 names, so I don't know which one would actually go
That's cool.
by. I believe you, Daniel. I believe you. You said it. I'm only echoing it. So,
Yeah,
um, he has thrown the least amount of attempts, but you know what though? He's got 644 yards. He's got 5 touchdowns on the year. He's completing 63% of his passes. He has 14 first downs. So that tells me that in clutch situations, he's getting the first down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that to me, that's an incredible number because he's by far way in the most, like by 5. You know, he's done that more than any other person. He only has 1 interception. He does have 2 fumbles though. Um, but he has 11 sacks. So I don't know if some of that's coming from that blind side that we talked about earlier, the most important position or whatever. But so they are slowly opening this playbook up for him, and it's really nice to see a national quarterbacks have success. Like we talked about it last year with Guerrero. This year it's Rosado. You know,
Yeah.
it's not flashy. It's not top of the league. You know, he may not even get 1,000 yards or get to what would be 1,000 yard season for. Or I mean, I guess maybe he will. He's at 644, so he might get to 1,000. But
Yeah. On pace for it. Yeah.
yeah, like 8 games instead of your normal 10 or 12. So he may not get to that point. He's not going to throw for 2,000, but it's efficient though. It's
Yeah.
efficient. He's got this team running efficient. I think a lot of that's also this run game too.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's always a best friend to a quarterback, right? And I know 2 of the sacks he took last week or this past week. He does hold on to the ball, and in my opinion, as a coach, if you don't have the best guy there back there, sometimes you got to take that sack, and it sounds ugly, right? Obviously, to the casual football fan, you're like, why would you want to do that? But there's a reason why he only has 1 interception, man. And sometimes you got to take that sack and live to fight another day, and as long as he's managing to wins, that's all that matters. You have a backfield that has 2 studs, take care of the ball. Your job is to guide, drive the Ferrari, man. Everyone else is fueling it and making it look good. Your job is just stay in the straight line, and kudos to him. Kudos to him.
I want to point out something real quick too. The balance in the run game
Yeah,
is remarkable. Denzel Strong has 191 yards rushing on the year, and Josh Mack has 190. Um, Strong has carried the ball 6 more times, so Mack's a little more efficient. Mack doesn't have a fumble. Strong has 2, so Mack has been a little more of the maximizing his opportunities.
yeah,
However, what stands out to me is they have 3 rushers in the top 7 because Rosado is the 7th leading rusher in the league.
yeah. He likes to go, man. He likes to
And
go.
he's got 161, but he has 5. He has 3 rushing touchdowns as well. So he's actually sniped a few of those rushing touchdowns from Mack and Strong, who each only have 1 in this case. And I still want to point out too that Johan Guerrero has 201 yards rushing in his 3rd in the league in rushing. So they still have not received this help. I see Luis Humberto Lopez Tinoco has actually made the top 10 finally, but they really don't have much as far as that run game is concerned, and that might be what's killing this Raptors team across the board. So,
Yeah, that's for sure.
yeah. So, I mean, kudos to Guerrero for basically being the MVP for that team this year, and hopefully he can get some help next year, and hopefully he's the man down there still, moving forward. So, the Archangels, they beat Reyes 26-16. There's not much else to talk about that, right? So, your Osos. I'll tell you what, though, man. I want to point something out about this here in a minute. I'm going to get your thoughts first, and then I want to point something about this game that I noticed. It's 31-17. Game was closer than the final score ended up saying here.
Yeah.
However, this is a game this might be a preview of a match we see in the playoffs coming up here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's besides the early on broadcast, I know like the aerial views they were rough, man. They were rough. But overall, it was an awesome game to watch. It was a late Monday night game, but it was great to see high level play. And one throw that sticks out to me is Trevon Boykin. He kind of throws seam route and he gets tipped there, and I was like, man, it's good seeing him kind of starting to get rolling the way we know he could play. Because, like you said, we might see this later on down the road in the playoffs. And good quarterback play from the imports is crucial for it. Right now, I think the Usos are just they're so gelled together. Once that ownership group announced, I think all the imports and all the guys that were coming, I think they locked all that in so soon, so good, and honestly, This is a great job, man, and it feels like all their imports are making an impact, and I think that's a cheat code, man, right now, and it was a great win for them. But yes, it was a lot closer than the score says.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to point out about this is, outside of the Raptors game, I don't really feel like this Dinos team is built to come from behind.
Yeah.
I thought that they had a lot of missed opportunities once the Osos went up 24-17. And I don't know if that was because Boykin was just trying to do too much, or if the Dinos coaching staff was just trying to do too much, or maybe a combination of both.
Yeah,
But
certainly.
it really felt like, and I don't know how you felt about it in the second half, but it really felt like that once they went up 24-17 in that second half, it really kind of felt like the rhythm that Boykin had been in just disappeared all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it just dissipated and it was just gone. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that could be an issue for them. And I know that we've talked about 5 teams possibly being in the playoffs here, by the way. I know that we've talked about 5, only 4 make it. So there is a chance that the Dinos could miss. If the Dinos do miss, there's 3 games left. If the Dinos do miss and the Mexicas get in with the Archangels, the Osos, and the Cadillos, how much of that is going to be attributed to the fact that they went with that two quarterback system at the beginning of the year, you think?
I mean, it's going to have to be. I know, the fact that we love ball and we love, talking about it and watching it and we've played it. We know that there needs to be an unsung hero and an unsung leader. Like we know that's what it needs to be, and it feels like some of those early games on that could have been a huge difference. And maybe it might be a little too late for Boykin. He's not the TCU Boykin we're used to, and that's understandable. It's people get older and when it comes to that, but it's they got a favorable schedule, right? I mean, obviously the Dinos, besides the Mexicas game coming up, but I mean they play, from what I'm seeing, they play the Gallos Negros, then they have the Mexicas, and then they play the Reyes. So it's possible, to see them, but like you said, it feels like they can't fall behind. It feels like a bad play can't happen to them because all the momentum shoots out. So
I'm
yeah.
going to do something real quick. I'm going to put you on the spot right quick, and I know that you sometimes you don't have fun with these because you're not as quick as some other people on this front. But right now, if you had to, who is your front runner for MVP?
I think based off how great they're winning and seeing the history of the LFA, I think they're going to give it to a quarterback, and I think Shelton Epler is going to be their MVP. I
Oh,
like,
look how quick he was on this one. I
yeah,
love it. Okay.
I had to. I like Johan Guerrero for how much he's balling, but the Raptors are just getting destroyed. And yeah, man, I think Epler's just he's going to earn it. I think he's going to earn it. That Calio game is going to be huge for that. So yeah, we'll see.
I agree with you. I got it on Shelton Epler too right now. He's my early favorite. And I want to apologize. I said 5 quarterbacks have played every game. Only 4 have. I forgot Jeremy Johnson played for the Cadillos, and it wasn't Robideau this past
Right.
week. Um, so 4 at 50% of the starting quarterbacks that started week 1, have started here. Justin has said that he is looking for a home for a player in the LFA for after the season. Um, Interesting. Okay, well, Justin, we'll keep it in mind and see if maybe we can find you one. You know. Hey, I want to ask you another question too. That's a little bit off topic that we didn't really talk about before we get into the standings and playoff runs and schedule and stuff coming up here. Um, Last year we talked about this a little bit. Unfortunately, we had lost. What was it, Galgos, and
Yeah.
this past year, and then was it the Hefes rebranded to the Archangels, right? If I'm
Correct.
correct. And then you guys rebranded from the Fundadores to the Osas. What are the chances that we possibly could see expansion? I know that there's some instability behind the scenes with some of this stuff, but with the ownership group that came in for the Osos this past year, is it possible we could see this expand to 10 teams next year, or is that going to most likely be like a 2027 thing?
Yeah, so I know that's what it's kind of been the rumor on the forefront as far as the expansion. They want to try to keep it even numbers consistently. The problem with the country of Mexico as far as that, so and this is kind of something that I've realized. Every big university that they have over there is a feeder. So like the Caudillos, they literally recruit kids and tell them, you play school here, you play your 6 years of college for some reason, and that's literally what they do: 6 to 7 years, 7 8 years, and they tell them you're gonna go to the Caudillos. If you're good enough and you win, you're gonna go play for them. Every school has been doing that. Patino did the same thing with the Mexicas. It's kind of feeder school. So as long as there's a big university around, there's a possibility. The problem is there's 8 or 9 universities that are the university. So that's kind of the worrisome from the behind the scenes end. Yeah, that's kind of nice little info there. But we want it, man. We want it. I know there's a lot of cities. Cancun is a city. I don't see why a beach city can't have it. There's not a lot in the northern area closer to us. It's just there's possibilities, man. There's possibilities. I know there's some uh, political reasons in different areas. I get that. You just gotta. You got. I want to see it, man. I want to see 10 teams. I want to see it get back to the growth of it.
Yeah, I was thinking, what about a place like Guadalajara? Is it just too much of a tourist area, or like Cancun, or?
I would say Guadalajara, Cancun. I know Tampico used to have an arena team. Like there's definitely cities for it. Like I know DF, which is the capital, right? Mexico City. They could have a team. That's 4 cities right there, right off the bat. They used to have teams. I know Central Mexico had one, so it's possible, man. I don't see why they wouldn't want the tourist area to have teams. I don't get it, But
Yeah,
yeah, we'll hopefully see
uh,
it.
I just feel like that time of year, you get a football team down there, you make a big deal out of it. People travel down there already, like,
Yeah, and I think the best
you know
way
what I
to
mean?
do it is host championship games there. Host them there in Cancun. Host one in Guadalajara. Have these nice cities host them, and get a feel for it. I mean, that's what that's what Super Bowl cities do. They have host cities, and I just think it's a great way to kind of mix it in. So yeah, I would hope
Yeah,
so.
I agree with you for sure on that front, and hopefully we'll see it. I really was kind of sad when the Reds went. I know there was a lot of issues there with ownership and stuff, but I was really sad to see them go. I kind of enjoyed them a little bit, so
Yeah.
yeah, as well. All right, standings as they currently sit right now. The Mexicas 5-0, undefeated, still balling out. Just put a thumping on the Raptors, as well from that perspective in that sense. The Bears, Osos, sorry, I got it translated to English on my end. The Osos, again 5-0, 5 straight wins now heading into the week. Cadillos 4-1, lost 2 weeks ago. 10-9, should have lost this past week. Should be 3-3, or 4-2 at this forefront, or 3-2. Sorry, my bad. 3-2 at this
Hmm.
forefront. The Archangels in fourth place right now in the playoff spot, 3-2, with the Dinos at 2-3, and the Dinos are improving as well. Okay, and not mathematically eliminated yet. The Gallos Negros, they're still hovering, but it's a longer shot in my opinion. I think in that from that standpoint. Um, Looking at these standings and then looking at what's left, let's take a look at the playoff race towards the end with the Archangels and the Dinos in that sense, right? So you got the Archangels next week. They are going to be traveling to take on the Cadillos in a big game. Like they could go 3-3 in that front. And the Dinos got the Gallos Negros. Now the Gallos Negros played tough this past week, and they're still not mathematically eliminated in that front
Exactly. Yep.
as well. So I would say the Dinos probably have the easier game next week, quote unquote. None of these games are truly easy. Let's be honest, it's football. You just never know.
Yeah.
The week after that, the Archangels then have the Raptors, and the Dinos have the Mexicas. So, I, you know, the flip flop from this past week, the week coming up, the following week's flip flopped on that front as well. And
Yep.
then to close it out, the Archangels have the Osos, and the Dinos have Reyes. So, looking at the remainder of those games, I would definitely say that the Archangels probably have the tougher of the the slate for those 3 games down the stretch.
Yeah, that last game, the Archangels versus the Osos, it'll be interesting because if the Osos are undefeated and they've locked in number one, it'll be interesting to see who they play. If they play everybody, we've seen them already put their backups in. We've seen them kind of use that, so that'll be interesting to see. Obviously, based off paper, yeah, the Arcángeles have definitely the tougher squads. The Dinos, if they can continue to get better, then obviously, seeing that game versus the Reyes, they have the Raptors, seeing that. I mean, they have the Cadillos early, or no, yeah, they have the Gallos Negros. That's, it's gonna be kind of crazy to see. The Mexicas game will be crazy for them for the Dinos. That's a vital one, but they have to
Yeah.
win the games they're supposed to win. That's the bigger thing.
Well, and that was going to be my next point here too. We're talking about the playoff position. The one team that's kind of hovering at 1-4 right now is the Gallos Negros. You
Yeah,
take a look at their roster. You take a look at their schedule. The Dinos are probably their toughest remaining team on the schedule, right? Like as
correct.
far as like standings are concerned and where everything is. If they beat the Dinos, they then have Reyes and the Raptors to close out the rest of the season.
Yeah.
There's a possibility this team could go 4-4 and sneak in there. With taking a look at strength of schedule down the stretch, you got to figure that they got the easiest strength of schedule in comparison to the other 2 teams.
Yeah, and that's the thing is the stuff they've weathered to get here so far. They've had imports, leave the team. Xavier Bullock's getting better. He's staying healthy. God willing, right? He's gonna take care of his body. But yeah, it's right there. It's right there. Again, it comes back to the we gotta get we gotta get them. We gotta win the games that we're supposed to win, and if they can win, then the Gallos Negros have a great opportunity. They just got to hope for some of those guys ahead of them to take some tumbles. Hopefully, for them, they need the Archangels to lose next week, but they're going to go in there with confidence. They already beat the Cadillos once, so an LFA team in far. I don't know if that's possible. We're technically the United States, but yeah,
I just think from a standpoint with the Gallos Negros that obviously I think this week they're going to have to treat this game like their Super Bowl.
yeah,
Like they're going to
yeah,
have, because if they lose, they're done. Like there's no
yep,
way that they're mathematically. I don't think there's a way that they could even get there unless the Archangels and the Dinos lose every game for the last two games of the year.
yeah.
Um, I don't think there's a way that they can mathematically get in. So uh, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. All right, the top 3 teams I think are pretty evident. The Mexicas, the Osos, and the Cadillos. 5-0, 5-0, and 4-1. Um, Looking at the potential chances at the number 1 overall seed, we can start with the Osos. They played the Mexicas, so this week is going to be determined. Somebody's going to suffer their first loss.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. However, moving forward for the Osos, they then have the Cadillos and then the Archangels, who are literally going to be fighting for a playoff spot. Um, it doesn't look like an easy schedule for the Osos. Is there any games that worry you as far as that could potentially cost you the number 1 seed moving forward here?
It, man, if they win next week or this upcoming week, the one that worries me is that last game. But obviously, it depends on how it goes. That's the bigger issue. I don't think any of these staffs, the coaching staffs, are going to think to themselves, "We got to rest some guys." I think they want to lock in undefeated seasons. I think that's just the way it is. On paper, from what we've seen, I don't think there's games that should worry you for the Osos. The bigger issue is we've seen it. Games aren't played on paper, so
Right.
I think they got to show up, man. They got to show up. They got to take care. I just think how the chemistry of that team is built for a championship season. We're seeing the Cadillos kind of limp their way to 4-1, and the Osos aren't, man. They're feeling good. They're feeling really good. This
Mm.
next game is going to be pretty vital. And I think it's going to be a great, great game. But yeah, I just think it's on paper. You're not worried about some. You're not worried about any of them. But yeah,
The interesting thing here with the Mexicas and the Osos is they play each other this week, which both of them on the schedule here. But they also both have the Cadillos, still left on their schedule.
yeah, hmm
And speaking of the Cadillos, they got the Archangels, this week, and then they played the Mexicas and the Osos. So um, there's a lot of movement that could happen here amongst these top teams, and the Archangels could play spoiler for all we know for 2 of these weeks. They could play spoiler for the Cadillos, where they already beat the Cadillos once, and they could play spoiler for the Osos on June 22nd as the last game of the year, as well. I guess primarily you take a look at this week here, and you take a look at the matchups outside of the Raptors and Reyes game. These are 3 really important games that could make or break a season here moving forward, especially with the playoff seeding.
Yeah, they're massive, and to add on to your point, we could see the Osos lose 3 in a row. I mean, the Archangels are capable of it. They still got to play the Cadillos, and the Cadillos show up for big games. And then this week they play the Mexicas, so they could find themselves, 3 losses, and all hell could break loose. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. This week is huge for all the implications to see kind of where the ball's going to get rolling and where exactly it's going to head to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's jump into the predictions for this week then. Do you have our predictions from last week? I don't think we did. Did you get them down or no?
I don't have them written down. No.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I'm always ill prepared with that. I love doing predictions, but I'm always so ill prepared for it. So it is what it is. Whatever. I'm not worried about it. All right. This week, the Mexicas and Osos open up the week, June 7th, which I believe is a Saturday, if I'm correct.
Correct.
4 p.m. I don't know if that's my time or your time or whatever, but 4 p.m. against the Osos. We talked about a little bit about this game. 2 undefeated teams. This could be a LFA championship preview. I mean, we could say this about anybody moving forward for the most part. You know what I'm saying? But before we get to that, how great is the scheduling? I know it was incidental because the schedule comes out before the season starts, but the scheduling here is fantastic.
Yeah, that's gotta feel great for whoever generated it. The way it's kind of shaping up, that must feel so awesome to them. That just means they did a good job.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at week 6 being like a pivotal week for 6 of the 8 teams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a pivotal week for that. And then you look forward to the week 7, week 8. There's 2 or 3 games littered through those that schedule. That's important. So kudos to that. I know that's not always how it works out, but that's how every schedule maker wants it to work out. You know what I mean? By all means. All right, Mexicas and the Osos. Are you sticking to the script here and having your fandom here, or what are we gonna do?
Seeing the chemistry, seeing how well they're kind of put together, I think they're shaped up to be an undefeated team. I think that's what they're built for. That being said, the Mexicas, I think if Tim Whitfield's healthy, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting thing. I don't know if he will be fully ready to roll, but I got them. I'm going to go against the grain, and this is going to break my heart, but I'm going to go the Mexicas win 28-26. Actually, I'm going to go 29. I'm going to go 29-26 with a last-second field goal. A field goal to win.
A field goal. After all that time talking shit about the field goals, you're going, okay.
And it's going to be barely making it in. So
okay. All right. The Mexicas. Okay. I think Tim Whitfield's status is going to be extremely important for this game for the Mexicas because I think he does a lot for this team in controlling the ball and sustaining drives.
Yeah. If he's hurt, throw my prediction out the window, by the way.
Well, I mean, not even necessarily if he's hurt. I just think if he's not 100%, because even if he's banged up, I think this Osos defense is, especially in the front 7, is very strong. I'm taking the Osos. I'm taking the Osos in this game, but I think it's going to be close as well. I mean, even Tim Whitfield at 80% is still 100% for most running backs in general. So, I think the Osos are going to win this game. I too think it's going to be a field goal, but I think it's going to be a 2-point. I think it's going to be a field goal that's going to put them up by 2, so they're going to be down 1 going in. I think it's going to be 26-24.
Nice.
I think it's going to be a 26-24 victory for the Osos in this case. A game that's huge implications from the 4th spot in the wild card run. The Gatos Negros needs a win. They're at home. They need a win after failing dropping that touchdown in the back of the end zone against the Cadillos to even maintain pace with the Dinos, who happens to be their opponent this week. Trayvon Boykin is starting to kind of look like he's getting a little bit in a groove. My question is, though, is really, again, outside of the Raptors who were winless, if the Dinos fall behind, do they have enough to be able to get back into the game? The Gatos Negros know that this is important. I'm sure that they're very well aware. What are your thoughts with this one? And do we see this, 4 seed be a 3-man race all the way to the end of the season? Or do the Gatos Negros kind of bow out here and the Dinos take control?
I think I've kind of like put my 4 teams that I think are going to make it in. And in order for my 4th team to make it in, they got to win this game, obviously. I think the Gallos Negros have a great 3-game stretch here. I think they knock off the Dinos. They're going to knock off the Reyes. They'll knock off the Raptors. I think that game that they just played last week, I think momentum's real in sports. I think we can all agree with that. And I think them having that opportunity right there, I think that's perfect for a player like Xavier Bullock and the players around him. I think they're going to go 3-0 in the next 3 weeks. So that being said, I think they'll win 22-16, and I think they'll take the win Saturday night.
Yeah, this game's interesting to me. I've been on the fence pretty much since the games ended on Monday night, all day today, looking at how I was going to predict this game, right? Like, the Gatos Negros are a team that I really, really enjoy watching because they usually start off really, really hot and then kind of like, I don't know if they get comfortable or if they try to just get too cute for themselves. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
If they start hot in this game, though, like I said before, I don't really feel like the Dinos are a team that's built to come back. This one might be close too. I'm agreeing with you. I think the Galos Negros are gonna win this game. I think that the momentum, the way that they played that game against the Cadillos last week, the fact that they held the Cadillos to 10 and had a chance to win it at the end of the game, and momentum's very real. And I kind of like your score. I'm gonna tweak it just a little bit though. I think that this is gonna be 23-18 is what I think I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go 23-18. A little bit higher than you, but I think it's gonna come down to a wire 4th quarter type play. For the Gatos Negros to win this game. All right, another game that's implications here too, because our Archangels again are in the 4th seed right now as they sit. The Cadillos have 1 loss. They're coming off a 2nd game that they should have lost. A lot of moving parts here. The Archangels got the best of them in the first meeting. This time the Cadillos are at home though. So is this a revenge game for the Cadillos, and do they equalize the series this week?
Yeah, it better be. In their mindset, man, it has to be because, like we said, this week is so pivotal. It can go either way, and they don't exactly have, when you talk about like strength of schedule, these next 3 weeks, strength of schedule wise for them is pretty tough. So I think if they fall to the Archangels, the Cadillos have a possibility of losing 3 in a row, especially depending who wins that Mexica's Osos game, and that'll be wild. I don't think they're gonna allow that to happen. I think they're gonna be ready for this game. I think them being at home is a massive thing for them. I think it will be close though. I think it'll be low scoring. I think it'll be 14-12. The Cadillos winning.
What was your score on that one?
14-12.
14-12. Okay. Yeah. Nice low scoring game here. Now I want to keep and you picked the Archangels or you picked Cadillos?
The Cadillos.
The big Cadillos. Okay. All right. I thought so. I heard Cadillos, but for some reason it registered as Archangels in my head. So
I'm telling you,
this game for me though comes down to this. Like, I know the Archangels won the last game between these two, but it was 26-6. They only won that game 26-20. They gave up 2 touchdowns later in the game, and the Cadillos had a chance.
Yeah.
The difference here is this is not the same Cadillos team that they faced 2 weeks ago, and to me, that doesn't make it more dangerous. To me, that actually benefits the Archangels. Jeremy Johnson did not look the best last week. If it's true about the rumors of him not really being a practice guy and him just showing up to the games, I think that's a problem.
Which is wild, by the way.
Which is wild. Yes, if that is true, that's a problem to me. Bro, I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna go with.
Say it. Come on. You wanted to do it last time. I'm just saying.
I did, and now I feel like if I go with it, it's gonna bite me in the ass. I'm gonna go with the Cadillos this time. But I, you know what, man? I'm telling you,
this is a Brandon Hart situation. That's why.
Well, it's the reason I'm going with the Cadillos though is just because I feel like they're going to try to grind this game.
Yeah,
I feel like they're going to, and that actually might benefit the Archangels, to be honest with you, with the run game.
Hell yeah!
But I think this is going to be close. I think it's going to be dirty. It probably won't be a pretty game. I like the low score. I'm not going to go as low as you on the score. I'm going to say 22-19. The Cadillos win. However, that alternate timeline thing that I mentioned a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
That alternate timeline is now, and
it really is.
It's not outside the realm of possibility that we could see the Cadillos end up 4-4.
I'm telling you,
in this situation. All right, to close out the week isn't the most thrilling game, which means it probably will end up being the best game of the week, because that's just the way that.
That's the way the cookie's been
That's the way the cookie crumbles. The 0-5 Raptors take on the 0-5 Reyes. Man, I don't know, bro. This game. Good luck calling this one.
Yeah. Man.
Hey, but somebody's getting their first win, so let's celebrate.
Yeah. I think just because the Raptors are home, I think that's going to be a huge thing for them. Shannon Patrick's been playing much better. He's been he's definitely getting in the rhythm. I just think Johan Guerrero, he's having fun out there as far as like just running around and just playing ball. And I think that's going to be the equalizer. To me, it's a toss-up. So they're going to be at home. I'll give them the win. Honestly, I want to say like 8-6, but I wouldn't do that to them. I'm gonna go. I'll go 24-16. The Reyes score late, but Raptors win.
24-16. Raptors win. Reyes scores late. You know what, bro? I'm gonna actually go opposite. I think this is gonna be the highest scoring game of the week.
Woo!
I think
that would be awesome.
Personally, bro, that
would be great.
I think both defenses aren't very good. Or the way that the Raptors defense literally went from being one of the best in the league last year to being one of the worst this year. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure what went wrong. I don't know if it's the imports they brought in. I don't know. However, I'm hearing that the Raptors may unfortunately have a new quarterback this week.
Oh, yikes. That would break my heart.
I'm hearing, yeah, me too, because I am a fan of Guerrero. I am, and I don't think it's his fault. I really don't think it's his fault. If true, man, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what's going to happen. I still think it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game because I don't think either defense. I'm going to say this game 31-33, and I'm going to say the Raptors, but Shannon Patrick looked better last week. I know they scored late. I know they scored late to make that score look better than what it was, but I really feel like they're in a position where Shannon Patrick is known for this league, and as long as he's starting to get more comfortable, there is a possibility that Shannon is going to at least try to put this team on his back to win a game this year. And there's not a better opportunity in this game against the Raptors. I just think that defense isn't quite there. Shout out to Justin for the shout out for Shannon. There's a lot of shout outs going on there. But yeah, so I think the Raptors do just enough. I think they do just enough. So
I like it.
Yep. So there you have it. That's going to wrap us up here. We're heading into week 6, man, already. 2 weeks left. 2 weeks left, and then the championship game, or the playoffs and the championship game. I want to just give an announcement. First and foremost, thank you to the 66 people that are watching, by the way. Appreciate you. We love you here at the Shady Sports Network. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the little dingy so you know when we're on every Tuesday night at 8:30. Sometimes it's Wednesday if things happen, just so you guys know if you don't see us. We are always here. Hey, 67. Oh, it disappeared. Never mind. 66. We're back to 66. By all means, thank you for that as well. Also, LFA, you can watch the games if you don't know, watch the games on YouTube in America. And I'm assuming it's probably internationally. You can watch it on YouTube. I don't know if there's a TV deals down there in Mexico or not, but YouTube is a great source. So use it as well and watch those games and whatnot. Support the league, support the players primarily. That's always the biggest thing. Make sure we're supporting players. Without the players, we don't have football. Plain and simple.
Amen. So, yes, sir.
So, by all means of that. Do you have something for your segment right quick before we wrap up, or no, you not, Daniel?
I don't have anything off the top of my head. I just want to say huge shout out to Mike, huge shout out to Sam, huge shout out to the LFA for providing good ball. And don't forget, it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
Talk to your friends, talk to your people. That's something in Spanish. Obviously, you know what I'll say a little bit in Spanish. Siempre tienes alguien hablar hablar, and you basically always have someone to talk to. You always have friends to reach out to. Do your best. Dale gas con eso. Obviously, like give it your whole effort. But yeah, I mean, talk to your people, man. Check in on them.
Yeah, mental health, especially as far as men's concern, is important to me as well. I also want to say Happy Pride Month to people out there too. So
Absolutely.
don't be afraid to be who you are by any means. Stretch the imaginations, drown out that noise. Just be who you are by all means. But yeah, men's mental health. I'm glad you brought that up. It's extremely important as well. It can kind of get drowned out with a bunch of with everything else that's happening this month as well. So by all means, definitely, like you said, check in on your people as well. I don't have anything else, Daniel. Right now, Shelton Epler, front runner for the MVP for us. We'll see if that changes in a couple weeks. Week 6, right around the corner. And until next week, he's Daniel Villalpando. I'm Michael Washington. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button to the Shady Sports Network. Shout out to Sam for giving us a platform once again. And until next week, have a good one. Good night.